We are back on Morning Line. Thanks for joining us. Barbara McGinnis is with us, elder care attorney. She's also a nurse and just an all-around nice person. She brought me Christmas cookies, her mom's German recipe, and they're really good. Thank you.
Thanks.
Thank you very much. Hey, we got a couple people that waited through the break, so let's go to Ann next, I believe. Ann, good morning. How can we help you, Ann?
Good morning.
Hi.
Hi. I was wondering what is elder law all about, because they don't help a lot of people.
What do you mean?
See, like I have known people to put in applications for public housing and actually die before they even get in. And I put in one 2 years ago and hadn't heard anything.
And you're elderly. And you're elderly?
Yes, I'm 66 years old.
Okay.
Oh, okay.
Well, that's interesting. Do you help people with that regard? I mean, what she's saying, I think she's talking about services, maybe public services that are available to the elderly, and she's frustrated that they're not helping. Now, you help elderly get these services. What about that?
So I really do not have much experience with public housing. That sounds like, because I mean that would be a means-tested benefit, I'm assuming, for people of any age. I may just have shown my ignorance about housing.
No, you're correct. I mean, there's
because that's just not a problem for most of our particular clients, but there's a wait list. I mean, just like all sorts of services, maybe there shouldn't be. Maybe our society should be more proactive because our population is growing. And unfortunately, there is a wealth disparity in our society now, meaning there's a lot of money in society, but it tends to be clustered. So we have a lot of people growing older with debt or of limited means. So maybe our society, our government, should be more proactive in planning for this surge of people that need them.
Now,
but there's not much I can do about that.
No,
that's a write your congressman kind of thing.
Right, and that's more public housing, and you're exactly right. Public housing, Section 8, that can be for elder or anyone who qualifies financially. Now, as she ages and she gets on Social Security, there are, and we touched on this, and I went through this with my folks, there are people that think that when eventually they run out of whatever income they have besides Social Security, if they had savings, that all of a sudden they can just go to a nursing home and Medicaid will pay for them. And they, well, Medicaid's there, and that's not the way it works.
That's not the way it works.
I've learned my folks are in a Medicaid qualified facility, and they're paying into it right now. Now, eventually, my folks are going to run out of money. It's just going to be, and I'll always be there to help them, but they're going to run out of money except for their Social Security. Now, at that point, because they've paid in and they've been there for 4 or 5 years, when they're destitute and have no more money anymore, but they're still there. This place is Medicaid qualified, and they have Medicaid qualified rooms. They'll be applying, and my understanding is they should be, even though it can't be guaranteed, accepted, and Medicaid will pick up the tab while they stay there afterward. Correct?
Probably.
Exactly. It can't be guaranteed, but I mean, we've talked to them. That's the whole point of us keeping them in this facility. Now, you can't just get to the point where you're broke and go to find a facility. If you do that accepts Medicaid, there's a waiting list a mile long.
Right.
The thing is, my folks are in one paying right now. They're going to run out, but they're going to be there. And because they've been paying members, I consider them should be able to stay there because they're already there. And if they're not, there's going to be hell to pay. It'll really piss me off. But I mean, it's like, that's the way it should work.
So part of my probably answer is because while Medicaid is a federal law, each state administers Medicaid somewhat uniquely.
Differently, yeah.
So the laws or the rules and regs that govern Medicaid in Idaho may look very different than Tennessee. And in Tennessee, we have we have some very strict medical guidelines to prove medical necessity for the care. So I tell people, it's not just about being broke.
Right.
It's about being sick and broke, because you have to justify, you have to be medically qualified, and that process is the PAE process, the pre-admission evaluation. If you're in the community applying, GNRC, the Area Agency on Aging, they're the ones that would conduct that assessment. If you're in a facility, the facility has a staff member that would do the assessment, and then ultimately it's approved by TennCare. Once that hurdle is passed, then we start looking at money. what's the income threshold, what's the net worth threshold, if you're single, if you're married, and all of those are different. So
well, that's so it's good that you say that too, because you're right. State to state, we've met with them. Next time I go visit my folks in the new year, we're going to go in with my brother in Boise, and we'll sit down with the facility they're at and say, look, we're still a couple years out, but I want to look at the process and look at the qualifications. And the medical may be a little bit different, the resource level may be a little bit different, and get that lined up ahead of time.
And I think that almost anyone can fill out the application for Medicaid or for TennCare in our state. But the difference between having a facility run your application versus having a private third party like an elder law firm do it is the facility is assuming your spend down is going to be spending down on care in that and that when you run out of money, then we'll help you. An elder law attorney may know not ways to hide your money, ways to use the rules to help your family preserve money for options.
Okay.
And there are options.
I need to get Tim and you to give me a referral again for Idaho.
All right.
Okay, we'll do that. Listen, we got 2 more calls. Squeeze them in. We only have about 4 minutes, so let's do this real quick. Kathy. Hi, Kathy. Go ahead, Kathy.
Yes.
Yeah.
I have a question about, I have an aunt that was in another state that recently had a stroke. And she was doing well when she was in the hospital afterwards. She was doing well when she was put in a intensive rehab. But then she was transferred to this nursing home facility that was supposed to be a rehab also. That really was not taking good care of her.
Okay.
And my cousin has her health care power of attorney. She is married, but the husband has not been doing very much to help with her health care or progressing, with her getting better.
Okay, what's your question? We got to get to your question. What's your question?
He's mostly been standing in the way.
Okay, so you want to get him out of the way?
Yes, in a way, because he said that he was not taking her home, that he was moving out, and they could do whatever they wanted to do with her. So she tried to move her to 2 different facilities, and he stood in the way of that happening both times. And when they thought she had maybe had another stroke and was in the hospital, that's how we got her out of there. And we did finally get her moved to another place, but we're trying to figure out what we can do as far as his involvement.
Okay, so I guess she said there was power of attorney somewhere else, and then there's still this husband who's involved. Apparently he doesn't have it. Is that a conflict there? If she gave power of attorney to someone else instead of the husband, who maybe is also a little deficient but getting in the way, how do you deal with that? We just got about a minute and a half.
Well, that would be an easier situation because the person that is named as power of attorney is the one with the legal decision.
Over the hubby. Over the hubby. Okay.
A harder situation would be, what if hubby and this cousin are both powers of attorney? Or you've got a person now who doesn't think the primary agent is making good decisions. And unfortunately, that is another time where I have seen, if that can't be mediated, maybe through the social worker at the facility, it sounds like a little open communication might work things out, find out what his reservations are. He may not be able to take her home, you know. And people should not impose those sorts of obligations on others.
I agree.
I've seen a lot of kids who think, Mom, you should take care of Dad at home no matter what. And Mom's killing herself trying to take care of home, and the kids aren't there to help, Right. And it's like,
they have no idea how much of a burden that can be. All right, as we wrap things up, remind us again where Takis McGinnis is.
Takis McGinnis is on Walton Ferry Road in Hendersonville,
Look, it's up there on the screen.
We've
How
got
about
it
that?
on the screen, and we have our website up there as well. There's lots of information and resources resources on our website, including links to some of our previous episodes of Take Us McGinnis Elder Care Law.
That's awesome. By the way, you guys are doing a podcast now, right?
Yeah, it's going to start early next year. We'll probably start taping in January and airing in March. It's called Aging Is Now.
That's great. And that'll be at the website where people can pick it up?
Yeah, I don't know. I think so.
Let us know when and we'll get
All
it.
right.
Barbara, thank you.
Thank
It's
you.
good seeing you. Merry Christmas.
Merry Christmas.
Be back with a programming note right after this.